Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Mia Loyando with Badass Art. We're here today to start a new coloring adventure. We are checking out some different blending techniques. And we have some different products here that we're going to be trying out and seeing how they work and if we like them and what they do for us. So let's jump in. What I have here is just basically a big spiral bound sketchbook. Let me pull it out of here and then show you. It's a hardcover. I got it from Amazon. I got actually two of them. I think two of them for $10, and they're thick paper, so you can use it for watercolor, markers, or whatever. But I use this for some of my swatches. Now the only beef that I have with this book is it's not. The paper has a bit of a cream tint to it, which is fine. I would have preferred it if it had been, completely white, but I have that, and then I have this one, which is by Arteza, and it has all black paper. So I usually try and swatch on both black and white, and but I think today, for the purpose of this video, we're just gonna stick to the lighter paper. So first, we're going to talk about this product. It's called Gamsol. And what this product does is it's a solvent. It's basically mineral spirits. It's an odorless mineral spirit. But what it does is it breaks up there's like a fixative in the pencils. It holds everything. It's a binder. That's the word I was looking for. It's a binder. And it holds the oil and the wax and the pigment. It holds everything together. So when you're coloring, let me just grab a color. I guess any color will do. So when you're coloring, you have this kind of white paper that shows through. Now, the first thing I think maybe where we should start is what is burnishing. As you're coloring, you put the paper down. Hold on, let me see if I can stop this camera from shaking. You put the color down, and you can still see the texture of the paper through the color. And for some people, that's okay. They like that. Other people don't like that. They want complete I was going to say translucent, but that's not what I'm looking for either. They want it to be opaque. They don't want to be able to see the paper or anything underneath. So what burnishing is basically going back in and very heavily pressing the pencil so that all of the tooth from the paper is erased underneath. And to do that, you have to apply a lot of pressure. It's going to push underneath. You're going to feel it underneath. And normally I don't burnish, so if it's something that you want to do, I suggest putting another piece of paper behind it so that you don't warp the next coloring page by the pressure, by the indentation that you're giving it. But this is basically what burnishing is. You're pressing so hard that there's no evidence of any tooth of the paper left over. And as you can see, that's what I'm doing here. Now, I find it harder to blend my pencils when I'm burnishing, when I'm, like really digging in there and laying down color. Now, some people, that's their style, and it's beautiful. I'm just not one of those people. So that's basically what burnishing is. You can add colors to that. Let me get another color so we can kind of blend that in. And this is just a lighter pink. But as we, sort of push that back and blend these two colors together, that might not have been the best choice. I should have gotten something a little darker, but here we are with it. They just kind of fold into each other, and you're not going to be able to see the tooth of the paper at all. So that's what burnishing is. Let's kind of put that. Okay, so next, Gamsol. Gamsol dissolves the fixative that holds the ink or the pigment, and it allows it to melt. It basically melts into the paper. So I'm going to just color an area here, nice and easy, and you'll be able to see it right away. Now, if you're going to use Gamsol or other brand of mineral spirit, remember to put a piece of paper behind your work, because this will soak through. It's an oil, so it's, you know, it's got a grease to it, and it's going to stain the work behind it. You want to definitely protect your clothing, and you know, some people don't like their pets to be around when they're using chemicals, so you know, that's the choice of everyone. That's something that you'll have to decide. I don't smell it, and it doesn't bother me, but some people say that it, you know, it can, I guess, like any chemical, some people are just more sensitive to things than others. So I thought I would put that out there. So I'm just filling up this little circle. Now, what you need is just any kind of paintbrush. I have just a mop brush. It's something that I grabbed in a set from Amazon. It was cheap at the time. I think I got 10 or 15 different mop brushes for $20 or something like that. But basically, you just want to get just a touch of Gamsol on the tip of your brush. And when you go over it, you'll see immediately that the pigments kind of break up and sort of melt. So if you're working on a paper, like the paper quality is kind of bad and it looks streaky, or if you're using cheaper pencils and they're not blending the way you wanted, this can kind of come to the rescue and really help you blend everything in there together and get maybe, you know, the little circles to disappear or some lines or whatever. Keep in mind too, the oil kind of creeps out, like, you know, like any other oil, like if you were using baby oil and some people do use baby oil and Vaseline. There's a lot of different things that people use to break down that compound in there that holds everything together. But I don't know if you can see that or not. I'm trying to lift it up. You can see kind of where that oil went outside the line. So you want to be really careful when you're using it. Use it sparingly, and we'll let that dry so that you can see how, you know, it just sort of melts and blends. But that's the basic gist of Gamsol. That's another product. I've had that bottle of Gamsol for probably 2.5, 3 years, and that's how full it is. It's basically full. I don't use it very often. But some people love it. They swear by it, and they use it, you know, a lot. So I'm gonna grab a different color. And next, we're gonna try blending pencils. Now, blending pencils are just basically the same pencil as what you're using. Is if it comes in the set of pencils, like Prismacolor has a colorless blender, and I think well, I know Caran d'Ache, the Luminance does, and a few other brands do. Basically what they're doing is sending you a colored pencil that doesn't have any pigment in it. It's just wax and oil. And the idea is to kind of push the pigment around and get it to spread out so that it looks thinner and smoother. And I'm just trying to kind of probably made these circles a little too big. We didn't need quite that much. That's that's okay. So as you can see, this is going down nice and easy. And this is a blending pencil by Caran d'Ache, but they're all really, personally, I feel like they're all pretty much the same. It's just, it doesn't have any color. It looks white, but it's not. It goes on clear. And when you start to use it, it just feels kind of oily. It just sort of glides on the paper. And what it does is it just kind of smooths it so that you don't see the white paper underneath. That's kind of the goal for blenders, is you don't want to see the paper underneath it. That doesn't bother me, but you know, not everybody likes it. I don't know if you can see the difference there. It just sort of spreads the pigment around. It just sort of moves it and makes it a little more flat. Now some people go over their colorings with a white pencil or a pale gray or a cream, and they use that in place of a blending pencil. And there's nothing wrong with that, but just keep in mind that it can slightly alter the color of your pencils. Now, when I bought this, it came in a pack of 2. It came with this pencil and this. It's called a burnishing pencil. Personally, I don't see a great big difference in what they do. They're basically made to do the same thing. But let's put some color down and see how that one reacts. And you just kind of go in and color right over top of it. And the idea is that all of the white tooth of the paper underneath just slowly disappears. Now what if you're trying to blend 2 colors together? Is it helpful? Let's see. You can, pretty much see the area where I've gone over it. So I'm going to add these 2 colors before I go over it with the burnisher. Throwing pencils. And these 2 colors, ideally, should blend right in together. It creates a lot of bloom. When you see all of this coming up, it's kind of crumbly. It's the wax that's building up and popping up from the pencils, and it's called bloom. So there's a difference. You can definitely see it, but some people like the effect. Some people think it's more work than it's worth. It all depends on your style and what you're looking for. So that was the burnishing pencil. Next, let's try this marker. Let's try a different color, something a little brighter. Now this is made by a company called Finesse, and it is made specifically for wax-based colored pencils. So basically they're telling us that this is formulated to break down the compound in here that holds the pigments together in wax pencils. And I'm using Black Widow, they're wax pencils. So we should see it, you know, pretty quickly. And it's just, you know, I feel like it's probably a great deal of alcohol. Now this one, you can see some movement pretty quickly. And I would say of all of them so far, including the Gamsol, this is probably blended the best, the smoothest. And it didn't bleed in the outer area like the Gamsol did. So, you know, that kind of just melts into the paper. And that's not bad. Actually, this is the first time I have used this. I ordered this specifically for this video because it was made for wax-based pencils. And I thought, okay, well, you know, let's give it a try. And it wasn't expensive. It was. I'll put the link in the description if it's still available. I think it was kind of limited when I did it. And the neat thing about this too is it has two ends. It has a bullet tip and it also has a brush tip. So, you know, you can get into some smaller spots with it too. And finally, last but not least, in all markers, well, I can't say all, but nearly every set of markers that you're gonna order, they're gonna send you one that's got a big 0 on the top that says colorless blender, you know, and you can usually buy them separately. Sometimes it's just a pack of 1, sometimes you can buy them in a pack of 5, depends on the brand. But the colorless blenders and the markers are pretty popular because you can blend the marker with them, but you can also use them on your colored pencils. And it doesn't matter if they're wax or if they're oil based, it will work on both. This one is from Ohuhu, and I'm going to open the brush tip side. I'm just going to roll over this, and it's, you know, kind of acting pretty much like this side. It just sort of melts that pigment. It just sort of breaks it down and allows it to spread out evenly. Now, another thing that I wanted to mention is once these markers, the alcohol, and I'm sure these are both alcohol based, once they dry, the surface is so smooth when you want to go back over. It just kind of creates this matte, smooth, creamy surface. It does something to the paper as well. And it just, you know, it just creates this, you know, it's like the paper is very welcoming at this point, and it goes on so velvety smooth. I kind of thought about, you know, going over different parts of the coloring with the blender before I add any color, before I even touch it with a pencil. And that's just a curiosity that I have. You know, how will it change the tooth of the paper so that it will accept pigments a little more graciously? That's a way to put it. But as you can see, you know, it's just totally changed the way it accepts this pencil, and it's super smooth. And it's going to do the same thing over here. It's just really easy to lay the colors down. So I have to say, if you're looking for a blender, if it's something that you feel like is going to help you, I would go with one of the alcohol markers, something that's made specifically to blend more than just pencils. This is going to blend markers, it's going to blend oil, it's going to blend oil-based pencils, wax-based pencils, you name it. Now this one is formulated for wax-based pencils, but I feel pretty confident that it would work with oil-based pencils too. These are great if you just want to go over top and kind of mash it down, you know, to make it flat and not see any tooth underneath. The Gamsol, I feel like it's messy. It goes through the paper. Let me open this page up and see how far it went. You see, it's wet and you can still see it. And I didn't purposefully put anything in between because, see, you can see how it went through all the way to the next page. Now, it didn't go through a second page. The piece papers are pretty thick. I mean, this will take watercolor or marker pretty easily. So you definitely want to use something behind it if you use Gamsol. Once again, some people swear by it. They absolutely love it. But I used it when I was using oil paints. It's a paint thinner, you know, and of course you can break it down. It's an oil pencil, it's a wax pencil, so they're solvents. It's all of these things are solvents in different shapes and forms. They're all helpful. Try them out. I will put links in the description for all of these. All of them are affordable. There's certainly something that you can put in your arsenal to grab and try, and it might be your new favorite thing. You might hate them. Luckily, Amazon has a 30-day return policy. If you don't like it, you can send it back, and I appreciate that because, you know, art supplies are expensive, and sometimes you think you're going to love something and you just don't. So I hope that this has been helpful. You know, I don't use these products a lot because I keep layering things until I'm happy with the way they look. But if you're in a hurry, if you don't really want to do that, if you just don't have the time, and you just want something that looks really super blended without going over it with, you know, 10 layers, I get it. Try one of these, and my recommendation is both of these. I wasn't super impressed with either of these, even though they're Caran d'Ache. I mean, that's the top of the line. I've used the Prismacolor blender, and I didn't see any difference. It's you know, they're all pretty much the same. But I was impressed with both of these. I like these. I don't use Gamsol once again because I feel like it destroys the paper, and it doesn't matter how little you use. It's oil. It's going on the paper. So with that, I hope that this was helpful. A few of you had asked about burnishing and what that is. And that's what it is. It's just destroying the nap of the paper underneath the pencil so that everything lays flat and you cannot see any of the white underneath. So I hope this is helpful. If it was, give me a thumbs up. It helps the channel. If you haven't subscribed already, please do. And I will see you in the next video.